favor of Pete Bass as moderator, in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Noreen. I'd like to welcome everyone here and those that are watching too concerning our special town meeting. And this was posted in the town clerk's office and also in the paper. Warning, the town clerk was posted on the looks like the 26th. Those qualified to vote in the town meetings of the town of New Milford are hereby warned and notified to meet in the New Milford Town Hall, 10 Main Street, New Milford, Connecticut, on November 8th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. in the E. Paul Martin Room for the following purpose, to wit, to consider and act upon the following question. Shall the town of New Milford expend COVID Relief American Rescue Plan Act funds received from the United States Treasury as follows? Domestic Violence and Family Advocate, 2-year trial period, $200,000. New Milford Ambulance, capital, $336,163.12. Personnel, EMS Operations Manager, $180,000. Arts Commission, $125,000. Nonprofits, $125,000. Reservoir Dam, $1,200,000. New Milford Fire for the Fire Marshal, the Fire Packs, $15,900. Software Package, $75,000. iPads, $34,000. Radios, $51,000. Foreclosure and rental assistance through the Hope Fund, $125,000, I believe. No, it was $100,000, sorry. Right. Good Samaritan Fund, $100,000. Their commercial grade freezer, $7,500. The New Milford Police Department Public Safety, $22,800. The de-escalator simulator, $50,000. Business loans and grants, $395,000. Copies of said proposed expenditures are on file and available for public inspection at the office of the New Milford Town Clerk, dated New Milford 29th, October 2021, as authorized by the New Milford Town Council. And also before we begin, public comment, also a timeline, so that everyone knows how this process has worked here in New Milford, no matter what misinformation you may receive. So we started this timeline. For the first set of requests, discussions were on July 12th, 2021. That's when we started the whole process. Then we had further discussion as a town council on 7/26/2021. We also did an online survey to get a reaction from our public. We had well over 700 responses, of which we talked to the town council and our Board of Finance of what the major drivers of what the particular online survey respondents wanted to use the money. For this first set of disbursements, the town council took action on 10/12/2021. That motion passed with a 6-2 vote. We then had a town council public hearing on that as well. Then the Board of Finance had their meeting at 10/25/2021. They held their public meeting on October 13th, 2021. And then they had their meeting and recommended by the Board of Finance the approval of said motion. So that was the timeline so far as we have it with these first set of expenditures for the American Relief Funding. And Walter, do we have any public comments, sir?
Yes, Alexandra Thomas, please.
I don't think you can hear me through the mask. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Thank you. Alexandra Thomas, 187 Aspetuck Ridge Road. It's a wonderful opportunity for the town to have this much money to be able to do a lot of important things. I'm particularly pleased to see the Domestic Violence and Family Advocate for a 2-year trial. I hope during that time we find that it's successful and that we find a way to fund it beyond the 2 years, because it's long overdue. So I'm hoping that's not just the money for the 2 years and then we say we can't fund it. So I'm a little concerned about that. With regard to the Reservoir Dam, again, it's great that it's going to get done. It's just a shame that we weren't able to take advantage of previous opportunities. I know it's come up before for less money, different repairs, and it would have been nice to have had that $1.2 million to use for other things had we been able to take care of the dam. So I'm hoping that in the future we can have better plans with all of our dams, all of our bridges, all of the roads, so that we don't have to have a windfall help solve a problem. And the last thing is I'm disappointed that there are no bonuses for the teachers in the plan at this point. I know this isn't the full amount of money, but I'm hoping that's going to be reconsidered at some time. Thank you.
Thank you.
George Agnew, please.
My name is George Agnew, and I live at 108 Heacock Crossbrook Road here in New Milford. And I just have a question. There was an item in the budget for a $7,500 freezer. Where is it going?
It's going to the social services for the food bank?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
That's the end of the list, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Do we have anybody else who would like to give their public input on this special town meeting concerning this tranche of American Relief Funds? Okay.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, Council. This is worse than the dog ate my homework. I forgot my notebook with all my notes. I'm completely devastated, but it's great to be here and speaking to you all. My only
Name and address?
Sorry, Hillary Ram, 154 Guernsey Lane, New Milford. My comment was, I understand you have this timeline and you got all this feedback. Is there any way to share that information so that when we're seeing what's coming, we sort of have a bigger picture of all the things that came in, so we can sort of understand the decision-making, the process maybe that went into it, because, we just don't know all the requests that came in. So that was my only question. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And to answer Ms. Ram, and I'll make sure we put in the minutes, in our town council minutes, there's all the discussion that we have, also within the Board of Finance. So for this particular tranche, I have this here. I will give it to Stephanie, and it will also be put into this packet as well. So it's
Okay.
in all the town council agenda packets.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Diane Knight. I live at 6 Hilltop View Lane in Milford. I have a question that are these amounts going to be allotted to the different departments if they're voted on, or is it going to go to one or the other? How is that going to work?
Oh,
How would you allot money?
I'm sorry, can you spell your last name for me? I didn't understand it.
Pardon
Can
me?
you spell your last name for me?
Sure, Knight.
Thank you.
That's okay. Always happens.
so is there a particular one that you were
Yeah.
thinking about?
There was a couple of them. I think
Okay.
that I would like the money to go to the fire department and to small businesses. I think small businesses are hit by COVID directly, what this money would be for. And I think they're still being hit, and they're now being hit again with the price of fuel, some people aren't able to return to work. And I also think their taxes are going to increase quite a bit. And we need our small business in this town. That brings in tourism, that brings in money to this town. And I'm here to advocate for them.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
And if
you.
you'll see down on number 9, when we have small business loans and grants for $395, that's what that's for.
That's great.
And then the fire department, at our meeting, we have the software package here now, but the town council will get information as the fire chiefs have met and giving us what their lists of what they need. So we'll be talking about that tonight at our town council meeting as we continue to go through our American Relief Funds.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address the public meeting? Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion that we accept the recommendations that are placed here on the, am I saying this correct, Randy? The recommendations that are placed here, 1 through 9, at this special town meeting for American Relief Funds.
So moved. Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? 1 abstention. Okay. Thank you, everybody. This meeting's adjourned, and we'll see you at 7 o'clock for our regular town council meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, he's, but the membership didn't vote on backing him up. That's, he doesn't understand some of those things.
All right. If we could all stand for the pledge, please.
Oh, sorry, David, it's all right.
Doug, could you lead us to the pledge? A moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our first responders, and those unfortunate souls that passed due to the tragic events in Texas. Thank you.
All right. Public, here he goes.
Walter?
All right. Gene, you want to come down, please?
I didn't expect to be first up. Good evening, everyone.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name
Jean Koloff,
and your address.
288 Long Mountain Road.
Thank you.
The reason why I'm here this evening is I would like to put forward a proposal for a noise ordinance in the town of New Milford. Most of the neighboring towns around us have some type of noise ordinance, whether it be work that needs to be done on a property or general landscaping or building. I think I'm not suggesting anything draconian. All I'm suggesting is that for our neighborly, what I call bucolic neighborhood that we have, that we respect each other's quietness. And I'm currently in a situation where there is a depot literally on the other side of my property with very large construction, materials and trucks coming up and down the road, which by the way is a scenic road. And it goes on from early in the morning till late at night, and then it also goes on the weekend. So I understand the Monday to Friday activity, which I totally respect if someone has a business. However, if it's Saturday and also Sunday, I really feel that kind of pushes the boundaries of what any of us could live with in terms of our quietude in life. I like to hear the birds sing. I don't know about you. Anyway, I just think it's a quality of life issue for the town. Many of the neighboring communities, whether it be, Newtown or Roxbury or whatever, have something similar. And actually, the state of Connecticut recommends, they have guidelines which apparently are fairly easy to follow. And I think it's something that this town, which is very special, deserves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. John Oakes, is it Oakes, John?
Good evening. John Oakes, 297 Long Mountain Road. And I also have some concerns that I share with my neighbor about the property at 310 Long Mountain Road. So I've never been physically on site, but it appears to operate more as a commercial enterprise than as a residence. It's zoned R60. Since the current owner moved in, which I think was in mid-2020, many large trucks go to and from it at all hours of the day. Some of them are tractor trailers, some of them are just your typical large commercial construction type truck. My major concern is that this has changed the mix of traffic on Long Mountain Road, which, as all of you know, is a scenic road. It's only 20 feet wide. Currently, it has no center line. So the mix has changed, which means it's more dangerous, particularly for cars who are trying to get around the tractor trailers. And I guess that my ask here is that the zoning department check to figure out if the use that is being made of the property is consistent with the zoning and why there are so many trucks on site. Thank you.
That's the end of the list, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Walter. Katie?
I'd like to suspend the rules to add to our consent agenda items 3E and 3F. These are both donations. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Katie, can you let them know what the donation is?
Sure, be glad to. 3E is for $390 of a donation from the Knights of Columbus represents 50% of the gross receipts from bingo that was run at the pavilion during Riverfest. And they are making that donation to the town. It doesn't say to whom.
To the Riverfest. To the Riverfest.
Oh, they
line.
want it to go back to them. Okay, so let me add that in, that it's going to the Riverfest committee, I
Donation
guess.
to the Riverfest Fund.
Okay, that's 3E, and 3F is for Parks and Rec. They received a donation from Christopher Prouse of a Christmas tree, and they would like to accept it, to put at the front entrance of the town hall.
Awesome. Any further discussion on adding to the agenda? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay.
Thank you.
So I move that we accept the consent agenda items A, B, C, D, E, and F. Minutes, tax collector, item C is the Commission on Aging is also requesting to accept a gift of a capital presidential blower-style machine with flashboard from the Windsor Senior Center. The donation will be used as an upgrade to the bingo games that are held weekly at the Senior Center. And 3D is the youth agency asked that they be allowed to accept an additional grant from the Waterbury Youth Services of $5,000. These are used as enhancement funds for the Juvenile Review Board. It's based on receipts submitted. These funds should be accepted into the town's grant fund to an account established by the Director of Finance.
I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
And item 4 is Dr. Jeremy Levin. And yes. Nice to see you.
Mayor, Council, very, very good to see you. My apologies for my absence in the last few meetings. I've been abroad, going backwards and forth and seeing COVID in at least 7 different countries. A couple really significant things have occurred that I'd like to bring your attention to. Globally, I think we're seeing a terrible episode going through many different countries. There's an enormous difference in what we're experiencing in the United States versus abroad, but less relevant to our town. What is relevant to our town is the fact that for the first time, as we talked about nearly a year ago, there's a new wave of therapeutics that have come through. This is a complete game changer. What has occurred is that, as you recall, we talked about there are 800 projects ongoing to find new medicines and vaccines. Of those, 300 are vaccines. Another 300 are new kind of medicines that you take by mouth, designed to stop the disease once you have it. And the rest, the 200, are just trying out old medicines. So that's about 800. Of the 300 vaccines, you now have 6 approved out around the world. It's going to go up to about 10. United States, we've got 4. And we all know that we're in the process where we can of getting boosters. No question about it, boosters are very important. Evidence is incontrovertible. 6 months after you've had a vaccination, particularly over the age of 60 or in an immunocompromised position, it is wise to consider boosters. And almost certainly, it'll become standard. In fact, some of the companies are today offering or beginning to think about how you put it with a flu vaccine or other types of vaccines so you can have a single shot as a booster. But of significance, of the 300 other projects, new pills are emerging. 2 of them, one by Pfizer and the other one by Merck, have come to a lot of attention over the last few days. Just like to make out the point, they're just the beginning. They are by no means the end. Why are they important? They are important because what they endeavor to do is to give you a therapeutic that you can treat a patient with once they've got the disease. The evidence is very strong that if you give the Pfizer pills 3 days in, you will knock back the chances of going into hospital or having severe disease by 85%. Merck, less clear. Merck, it's about 50%. They're what I would call first-generation treatments. These treatments essentially, you'll go to your doctor, you'll say, I'm feeling bad, they'll test you, you've got COVID, they will give you the pills. And the chances of you then being admitted are very low, particularly with the Pfizer drug. And that's completely different from the vaccines. So now you have vaccines to prevent the disorder, and those who have a breakthrough, you now have pills to treat the disorder. This is fundamentally a great situation. It's a little bit like having a flu vaccination, and then if you don't have a flu, if you get flu by chance, you then have a treatment that you can go home with and stay at home. These treatments are first generation. There are many, many pills. For example, in both cases, it's 3 pills or 4 pills in the morning, another 4 in the evening. I wouldn't focus on that at the moment. They'll make it into single pills. It's just a question of it getting out to the market. But it is a game changer because what it looks like is these pills are very safe. They do knock back the disease if you are unfortunate enough to get it. And it's exactly as we spoke about nearly a year ago. It's remarkable that we actually have it today. So I would say that this is the start of a wave of these. These are definitely the first across the finish line, but there are, as I say, another 300 right behind them, of which I don't know what percentage will be successful, but a significant number will be. So it's nearly certain now that we're going to break the back of the current wave of COVID in light of the fact that we will have both vaccination and treatment, 2 different ways of attacking the disorder. And that's certainly remarkably good for families, for those who get the disease, for our economy. I will back off from being as optimistic because that's the good news. The bad news is, unfortunately, in the rest of the world and certain parts of America, we are still seeing people who are resisting taking precautions or taking vaccination. That is not just a matter of choice. It is a matter of danger to all of us because we've seen Delta sweep across various forms of the virus mutate. That's the natural history of that virus. The more they mutate, the worse they can become. And so what we've seen sweep America, sweep Great Britain, sweep Israel was a variant called Delta. Now they're various grandchildren of Delta. So far, they've just been more infectious. But the more you allow them to reside in the bodies of those who have them, the more mutation that is really bad comes out, and that could be more deadly. So while we have all these treatments, and we have the vaccines, injections, and also now pills, we also have this ongoing risk, and it's a big risk, that those who are not knocking back and controlling the disorder in their society or in their communities, they are risking everybody else because a really bad version can and may well arise. So optimistic that we're over the major hump, but very worried about the fact that we still have communities that won't accept what is very clear, incontrovertible. If you are vaccinated, the chances of your getting sick are very low. If you do get sick and you then take the pill, you'll knock it back. But those who are not unvaccinated are putting themselves and the community at risk. So I've submitted a report. I hope that it's helpful, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Levin? Sal?
Dr. Levin, thank you for the report. I have a question about the Regenerance cocktail. It's last heard done Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. What's your take on that one? Usually it's not in the news that much, but it was quite a bit in all over CNBC today that they may be distributing the Regenerance cocktail.
Yes, Regeneron is that medicine is a injectable medicine. It's given in hospitals. The concept behind it is that it is an antibody, something that will attack the virus that's been extracted, grown up, and when you get the virus, you inject it into the person with the hope that you can knock back the virus. It's not convenient in the sense that you have to be in an infusion center and then supervised by somebody. There is reimbursement for it. Lilly has a similar cocktail, and the exact mix of that cocktail depends on which of the different companies is producing it. But they are effective if you get them early enough. If you are infected and have been infected for a long time, that's a tough one because it won't be that effective.
Appreciate the expertise. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions for Dr. Levin? Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Pleasure very much. Thank you.
Item 5, do you have the update from Lisa?
I don't think Lisa was
No,
here.
she's not.
So I'll give an update when it's Mayor's turn, I guess.
Okay, so we'll move forward to item number 6, Sustainable Connecticut. We have a presentation by chairpersons, Ms. Bailey, Mr. Gass, and backed up by Lee Furniture.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stephen Gass, and I am very excited and proud to be here to give you an update on what was a Herculean effort and an extraordinary project called Sustainable Connecticut New Milford. About a year ago, in fact, it was the last week in October, Julie and I met with the town council via Zoom to talk about this idea, to get your support to embark on this initiative, this endeavor, that we weren't quite sure where we were going to land, but we knew instinctively that it was going to be an interesting project, that if nothing else, we would learn a lot. So what I'd like to do, because I can't remember, I don't know how much everybody in the room knows about the project in its most basic form. So I'm going to start with just a little background, and then I'll take you through what our process was and where we landed. The good news was our ultimate goal was to achieve certification, to be called bona fide a Sustainable Connecticut municipality. And we achieved that, and I will reveal a little later, we achieved it in spades. So what is Sustainable Connecticut? It's a statewide sustainability certification program that's run by an academic outfit at the Sustainable Energy Institute at the Eastern Connecticut University. What's interesting about this project and this process is it says sustainability is far more than just caring for your environment. In fact, the way I like to think about it is sustainability is spelled with 3 E's. One is the environment, one is your local economy, and the third E is because sustainability is about everybody in town. So the health and well-being of your economy is dependent on the health and well-being of your environment, which in turn is dependent on the health and well-being of your people. And unless you look at all of these pieces of the puzzle together, wherever it is you think you want to go, you're not going to get there. So the funding, this is also interesting. It is funded by not-for-profits, and this process, even though the human resource cost was rich, shall we say, lots and lots and lots of hours, it this project did not cost the town a dime. In fact, it generated $40,000 in special projects, independent of anything coming from the town. What it asked us to do is look across the various systems in town, from what's going on in economic development, land and natural resources, arts and culture. I mean, what is the arts and culture ecosystem, for example? What are we doing in public services? What's happening with infrastructure? How are we dealing with lights at night, night skies, plants, vegetation, et cetera? It's a systemic approach to taking a look at a town. So when Julie and I first walked into your screens, we said, here's why we think we should do this. One, and this is an interesting one because of what we ultimately learned, because it's going to help us understand what we don't have going on, in addition to what we do have going on. It's going to give us something to rally around. It's going to give us a big picture in which every single piece of our ecosystem at large is being touched. I mentioned this earlier. It's going to give us access to some change that will help us to embark on little projects. It will give us an opportunity to showcase what it is that we actually are working on and have accomplished. It will give us yet another point of civic pride. And ultimately, when all this comes together, back to those 3 E's, it will give us an opportunity to attract new business, which in turn attracts new families, a different kind of workforce, a broader workforce, and it kind of all works. So you may ask, how did we do it? Well, we started with this awesome vintage picture from from the lake, and we thought, let's not start small. Let's go for the highest level of achievement that's possible, because that will push us to ask more questions, and that will push us to be able to present more solutions, more answers. So we set our goal for silver certification. Then Julie and I went through this list of literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of possible sustainability actions. And back of the envelope, we asked ourselves, yes, can we do this? No, no way, don't think so. Or, yeah, maybe, maybe we can do this. We then assembled a core team of about 30 people, and those were mostly volunteers, but a lot of remarkable folks from who were in municipal positions. We touched pretty much every department, every commission, every committee, and several businesses and private residents to get this to happen. That core team of 30 then reached out and brought in additional resources, probably somewhere around another 50 or 60 people. So all told, there was a legion of close to 100 people marching forward to paint this picture for us. We collectively clocked literally thousands and thousands of hours over a 12-month period. We responded to 40 different actions. Those actions could be simple as, what are you doing, what kind of zoning regulations do you have for housing, to what's happening in arts. And each of those actions then spawned several sub-actions. And each of those sub-actions then spawned somewhere between 200 and 300 separate documents, plans, maps, inventories, reports, and it goes on. The project said if you achieve 400 points, and the points were variable, anywhere from 5 to 20 points per action. So something could have taken us 3 months or 4 months to get 10 points. So the end goal was 400, and Julie and I, being sort of having overachievement in our DNA, said, we need to have more just in case. We ultimately submitted 920 points worth of action, and were awarded 870 of those 920. To put that in context, We are one of 12 to achieve this level of certification in the cohort group this fall. We are one of only 27 municipalities in the entire state to achieve this level of certification. And if you look at just pure points alone, and although the quantitative isn't as important as the qualitative information behind those points, we are number 3 in the state for just the sheer volume of ideas and activity that we have generated. And we are behind only Greenwich and New Haven. And I venture to guess that they had more resources thrown against this. So, congratulations to this group, and to the town. We pulled this off. And the learning is enormous, and we're going to get there. So we did good.
Steve, do you have a printout of this by any chance, or is it just on your?
Do I have a printout? I have one on my chair.
Can I steal it?
Yeah.
Never give it back.
All right, so I'm sorry if the folks in the room can't read this, but this screen is just a subset of the many things that were accomplished and that were submitted for this cache of points. I've put them into buckets to reinforce this idea that that this really was systemic, and that there are some things that you'll see in one bucket, but in fact also speak to others. So I'm just going to go through them quickly. So in this first one, the environmental impact and stewardship, we created one of the most robust brownfields inventory that the state has seen. It is truly a roadmap to what needs to be addressed. It includes a pretty significant list of recommendations where we should be playing, where we need to clean up. I draw your attention to the lower right. Some of the things that are brought up in the brownfields inventory and that analysis are central to what is identified in the riverfront plan. So you see how all these pieces start to work together. The other thing for the tech geeks in the room, there is just an awesome set of Google Earth 3D maps of this town and all the fallow spots. It's a joyride. I recommend it to all. We also did an open space inventory, and for those who don't know what that is, that's a map that identifies all the places in town that are open spaces, that will always be open spaces, that are part of our mix of commerce and residences and the great open air. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I was just going to get there, but Mike.
Total open space and boundary to the Milford is 7,794.22 acres. The number of open space parcels in New Milford is 467. The percentage of open space in town is 20.46% of buildable acres.
Right, and Mike, would you share with the crowd what that represents in terms of standards and benchmarks that towns should have?
I believe the state requires that we have a maximum of 21%, so we're almost there.
So back to the point of environment, economy, people, there's a data point that's saleable and attractive to folks both here and folks who might want to visit and be part of this community. Now I'm having trouble reading. On the next thing, and fortunately there's a great picture. We created the town's first natural resource and wildlife inventory, an exquisite compendium, over 100 pages of detailed information on the flora, the fauna, the waterways, and issues around all the environmental richness in this town. An essential piece of data that can be used to inform any number of other decisions, and a critical document that, as we move forward, is one that has to move forward with us as climate impacts things in the environment, as building and commerce have impact. A group of about 25 people were invited by the Nature Conservancy to participate in the community and climate resilience plan. Again, another brilliant document that points to what are the strengths and weaknesses of this town? What are our vulnerabilities? How can we be as resilient as possible? We created, with the help of Kathleen Nelson, naturalist, an invasive plant management plan. She was out on the road with our DPW, helping them to identify and get rid of invasive plants. And for those of you looking for more, her management plan is posted on the town website. We raised about $15,000 under Julie's leadership to do a cleanup plan in the Great Brook and Holton Meadow, where we unearthed just tons of garbage, ripped out invasive plants, planted native plants, and it was a model program for how the community can come together to deal with an environmental issue right here in downtown. And we also helped we helped the folks at the McCarthy Observatory to raise funds to expand Galileo's garden, which is the first pollinator garden on public property in New Milford, and also an exquisite piece of work. Right, so that's just, and that's just a piece of what falls in this environmental bucket. Under the next bucket, there are a bunch of things moved in here, but it's, what were we doing that is specifically about community, giving community voice, making sure that all of our actions are as inclusive as possible, that we're really hearing what people are saying, and how are we communicating it. One of the most important documents that we created was a strategic communications plan that looks across what is currently a somewhat fragmented communications landscape and says, how do we make a more cohesive communications plan moving forward? What do we have to do? How do we check our work? How do we manage the human resources and sustain managing all of these various communications platforms? Because as we move deeper into the 21st century, in particular, digital communications needs to be looked at as an asset that needs serious management. We created an affordable housing plan that, again, speaks to many things around this grid. We created an opportunity for a farmers forum so that the farmers could have an opportunity to say, this is what's important to us, and how do we fit our point of view into this larger point of view as the town moves forward. One of the most exciting pieces also started, Son Ellis started a project that was based in this idea that parts of our community who may not be native English speakers are challenged with where we were with our communication system. So what she did is she set out, in the midst of COVID, to listen to folks across the Spanish and Portuguese-speaking communities to hear how they get their, to learn about how they get their information, what we need to do as a town. That then led Mayor Bass, to find out about how other towns are handling this and what the next gen communication system would look like. And that led us to what I assume everybody here now has gotten very used to and dependent on, Notify New Milford, which is a state-of-the-art communication system that is available in multiple languages, not just Spanish. Back on community, environment, everybody, Andra Mayerovich helped us to take a look across everything we're doing under the umbrella of food networks and put together a food inventory and was key in instigating the beginning of a regional food council for us. This is a project that was then supported even that much more by the Victory Garden project, something else for which we got points. Where other towns might have a little patch where you can come and plant your flowers, our argument was we had 30 or 40 of them that were generating hundreds of pounds of vegetation and vegetables, and are still going with a full communication system and a Facebook page and. And then I did mention this before, and we were able to raise $40,000 toward 3 different projects. One being the Dream Stream, the cleanup of the Great Brook, one being money to support the expansion of the pollinator garden, and the third being to expand the barn quilt program, which has taken off. Arts and culture, a huge opportunity for us. What we realized and what we found is that the town has a wonderful calendar of arts kinds of events. But what we wanted to do is take a step back and say, how do we take this calendar and transform it into a driver, an economic driver and a cultural driver? One of the things we realized is, well, we had never done an arts initiative that was specific to kids. And if you remember, up until a couple of weeks ago, there were banners flying all around town designed by kids, because the kids came together and said, we want a voice. We want to be part of this, and we want it downtown. And that's how that happened. We put together the first ever inventory of our historic assets that has a series of photographs and background on key historical buildings and places around town. This initiative also instigated the first in what we hope will become a series of online workshops specific to historic preservation. And we can get you the link to the first one. It's a very cool thing on restoring old windows. Very useful. And we also launched a number of sustainability projects, my favorite being one called Trash Talk, which was specific to dealing with compost. All right, I'm going to go very, what? Oh, I'll get there. I'll get there. Like I said, there are things that can fit in multiple spots. I'll jump to that now. Julie just wanted to remind me about New Milford Now, New Milford's new tourism, arts, culture, commerce website with a really terrific user-fed calendar. So businesses around town, once they sign up, can go on and populate the calendar with their events. I have it there in the right-hand column under economic development, because fundamentally, when Mayor Bass asked us to think about it, it was based on the idea that we want to let people outside of New Milford, in addition to the folks here, know what we're up to and know what's here and know what they can participate in. Our parks, for example, among some of the most beautiful in the area, but nobody knows about them. Our trails, our award-winning restaurants, et cetera. And then, as long as I'm in economic development, we were also able to use the work that Mayor Furman and her team put together to develop around the riverfront. A project that, in many, many ways, is a model of innovation, and it became sort of a tentpole throughout our application process. You know, when we were talking about brownfields, we could point to the riverfront plan. When we were talking about housing, we could point to the riverfront plan. When we were talking about the arts, we could point to the riverfront plan. And we were able to, in addition to all that support that this project provided across the application, we were also able to get extra points because there was a bonus category, which of course we couldn't resist, And the Riverfront project was a bonus project for which we got additional points. Just very quickly, yeah, it's like, I apologize if this is going on, but this is like, this really is the tip of the iceberg. But I want people to appreciate how holistic this approach was, and I think that's why we ended up where we ended up. So the last category is systems, services, other kinds of things that are truly municipally driven. We were able to update our Energy Star portfolio. It's a system on the Everbridge, right? Mm-hmm. Everbridge side that Eversource, yeah, I always screw them up. On the Eversource side, that allows us to take a snapshot of energy use and energy reduction. And what our process unearthed was there were two parallel portfolios, so we never knew which one we were looking at. So guess what? Now we have one, it is completely updated, and we are back on track. So that was an exciting, and we got points, lots of points. We were able to showcase New Milford's very unique response to issues of homelessness. I mean, we are the only town in the state that has a position like Jason Colmer's, who is tasked with figuring out how to serve that population, that community, to make things better for everyone. We worked with Mayor Furman on the POCD. I mean, we didn't contribute to it, but that document was a tour de force that we were able to, because we were working in parallel, just ask questions. Is this bit of sustainability in there? Is this response to a sustainability issue in there? We were told by Sustainable Connecticut that one of the toughest places to get points in this initiative was to show that your POCD, your Plan of Conservation Development, was the real deal and actually addressed significant issues of sustainability. We got maximum points, and we were told don't expect any. So, thank you. Thank you. Kathy, too.
That is the co-chair.
Kathy, well, thank you. I'm actually getting to a point here by pointing out all of these gems. And so I think, all right. So a year ago when I came in this room, when we came in this room virtually, we asked you to take a flyer with us. We asked you to imagine what it would be like if our collective goal was this sustainable, thriving, vibrant, this, get out of our way, New Milford. And yeah. Oh, you know what? I missed a key slide. Hold on. Sorry. No, we did it. Sorry. Why isn't this clipping?
Use the page.
Oh, here we go. All right, so we asked you to imagine what would happen or what could happen, and we did it. We achieved certification, and that's pretty awesome. And as I said to the folks at Sustainable Connecticut, if silver is 400 points and we got 870, does that mean we get double silver? So we have a prize. That's good. Prizes are very nice. But we also have this remarkable set of data. And our recommendation, our heartfelt recommendation, is that we also have an opportunity to sustain this momentum. There are 100 people who are working really hard, and that's just the beginning. I think as notice of this success becomes sort of part of our fabric, it's going to be easier to get even more folks at this table and in these seats to say, all right, what do we have to do? As I said earlier, sustainability and this award, while it may be about today, this is all about tomorrow. So what we need to do with all of these reports, all of these plans, all of these maps, we need to pull the camera back. We need to analyze what we're looking at. We have to look at the priorities and in a way prioritize the priorities so that we are all marching in the same direction and we accomplish things that help the next project or the project to the left or the project to the right to grow even deeper roots. We have an opportunity now to determine what we want to build on, what we want to build. In some cases, we built things from scratch as part of this project. Our challenge now is, okay, there it is. It's a state. How do we make it into, into a living, breathing phenomenon? I look at this now. I think about New Milford as, sort of a scattergram with all these pots of gold all over the place. But it's like it's a scattergram. So our opportunity now is to take that scattergram and transform it into a roadmap. Take all of our collage of snapshots, like all these incredible things that were accomplished, and say, how do we take the collage and make it into a masterpiece? So therein lieth the challenge. This has been an awesome ride. So for the team, I thank you guys for letting us knock on lots of doors and frequently. And I will leave us with a little bit of inspiration. The best way to predict the future is to create it. We will take questions, but I'm happy not to.
Stephen, there's just one thing.
Yep.
You may want to pass this on to the town council because it's the first hard copy of the natural resource inventory that Kathy Hazelwood will handle the.
That would be lovely. Why don't you?
Kathy, you want to take
Oh, sure.
I can take a look at that.
Are you all right?
Yes. Is there any water around? Out?
Yes.
Go for it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So ladies, this is Kathy Hagedorn. Kathy was one of the key, was one of the leaders in helping us to put together this natural resource guide, and she is presenting you the very first 3-ring bound copy.
So, Julie and Steve were amazing coaches and leaders for bringing us to this natural resource wildlife inventory, geology, geography, invasive plants. So as much as this is kind of a nature-themed document, I think that so speaks to what our town is all about. I feel like we can have conservation from the environmental standpoint as well as development from the economy, as Stephen said, with the 3 E's. So this is hopefully a fluid document. Every day we're discovering new things with new birds, new animals, and invasive plants. I work up in Sherman. I manage 850 acres for Connecticut Audubon. The cost of invasive plants is going to be exponential to all of our towns. So this is the first
And you live in
document
New
to
Milford.
acknowledge that. So, and thank you to everyone who's been on the team. So well done, and thank you. It's a fluid document.
And a follow-up on that, that document is available digitally. If you go to the town's website, newmilford.org, and you go into community and then local environment, it is there front and center. And it's actually a pretty good read. Yep.
Maybe for Leva both. What is the difference between the natural resource inventory and wildlife inventory and a POCD? How do they? Leva, what would you say? Kathy, what would you say?
Well, a POCD addresses, and Kathy, please,
Yes.
co-chairman of the POCD
It's wrong with
committee,
Kathy.
feel free to jump in, but the POCD addresses what is and then makes recommendations of what should be and ways to do that. And at the end of every chapter, say there's the natural resources chapter, which makes note of this inventory. Then there's a implementation plan with tasks and strategies for the town to do over the next 10 years.
But the POCD is a big picture, and the inventory is the detail. And so they both are very important, because we say that an inventory in the POCD is important to the town, but this work actually created one.
The other important thing to understand about a POCD is that it's state mandated. Every municipality must create one of these documents every 10 years. It basically is designed to be a roadmap. This is this is what we have identified as important to us, and this is what we are saying are our goals over the next 10 years.
And as the town council knows, because you saw the presentation, it includes natural resources, infrastructure, economic development, housing, town facilities. There's a chapter on resiliency. There's a,
Climate, yeah.
there's just a lot in there. It's a lot more than natural resources, but it's a document that kind of brings it all together.
I think it bridges the gap in decision-making. Basically, we all know where we want to go and how to get there. So for example, with the riverfront revitalization, we all have great ideas, and maybe for the most part we agree on them, but we really need to make sure we understand floodplains. We need to make sure that we make the right decisions and not just build something because it sounds great and it's going to be good for the economy, but why build something that's going to flood every 5 months or 5 years?
That's the
So
point of riverfront revitalization. We're
Right.
not going to do that.
Exactly. So exactly, it's bridging those two.
Yeah, and to your point, each of these documents that were submitted in support of the sustainable, what I'd like to think of as the Sustainable Connecticut sort of outline for our master plan. Each of these standalone plans, reports, and initiatives came with a great deal of rigor. Each of them can stand alone, and the opportunity that this exercise gives us is to look at them next to one another and make sure that they are amplifying one another, so that, you know, it's like, it's each initiative becomes its personal best.
I'd just like to say thank you to you,
You're welcome.
Julie, Kathy, Liba, and every other person, Son, who had something to do with this. And it's amazing that you got almost 1,000 points when you started for 400.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing that you have put together in so many ways. But I think, I just want to make sure that everybody who's watching understands that they can access all of this information. We don't have to try to remember it all. You can access all of it, some through the town website, right?
Mhm.
And is there a sustainable New Milford link?
There is a dashboard that Sustainable Connecticut maintains where all of our documents are. In order to access the dashboard, you would have to be credentialed to do that. That if folks are interested, they can send an email. Maybe if we send it to Pat, would that be okay? And then she can filter to me, to Pat Hembrook.
Great.
What I will do with this document,
Yeah.
this document we can put up on the town website. There is also a spreadsheet that sort of, in not so short form, but shorter than 200 separate documents, gives you a snapshot of what we got points for, and we can put up a tidied version of that as well on the town site.
Thank you for all the work.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hours.
It was fun, sort of. All right, we good?
Good, thank you so much.
I'd like to, as well as what Katie said, is to thank Ms. Bailey, thank Stephen, thank the entire team. The tremendous lift that they did for the town. As they said before, we are now a silver town, which is the highest we can. As we were talking about before, is there's only 2 towns ahead of us, which was Greenwich and New Haven, and they have a lot more resources than New Milford had.
Those cities were
Absolutely.
That's right.
So, what this goes and highlights is the continuation of New Milford as we continue to do public-private partnerships, P3s, and we see how successful that those can be for our town. And as we look at planning, which Steve talked about is super important, when we first got here, a lot of things weren't planned for. One is our capital. So we've had Jack coming in, looking about our road plan, how we're creating that, how we're creating our plan for all of our other capital, whether it be our roofs, our bridges, our vehicles, all of that together, as well as coming out with a plan. We have riverfront revitalization. It's talking about bringing the downtown into into the 2050. Talk about our health department and how we're doing things to sustain our citizenry here in a healthy lifestyle, as well as we have sustainable Connecticut. All these building blocks work together, Stephen talked about before, and make us a truly vibrant town. With that being said, too, some of the other accolades that came on behalf of this as well is the Yukon Environmental Corps, yep, are presenting to the town a plaque that we got in recognition and appreciation of promoting brownfields redevelopment and the work with the students of the Yukon Brownsfield Corps. So the University of Connecticut gave this to the town of New Milford, so we'll be putting that up, which will be over there, as well as our new plaque for silver certification. And also from Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, they gave us a special congressional recognition, town of New Milford, in recognition of a demonstrated commitment to promote environmental sustainability, foster connection to community, and build social equity through the statewide initiative Sustainable Connecticut. As a silver level certified municipality, the town of New Milford is a leader among a growing number of towns taking action to recover from the pandemic and build long-term resilience. Congratulations on this achievement. So it just goes to show, as we all work together and look at things together, there's amazing things we can do and will continue to do. With that being said, what the town would also like to do is give out some certificates to those members of Sustainable Connecticut that did such a phenomenal job. So those that are here, I'm going to call out the names, and those that are here tonight, those that aren't, we'll make sure that they do get their certification. And it's the same thing to each person, as in grateful recognition of your valuable contribution to New Milford as a member of the 2021 New Milford Sustainable Connecticut certification team that brought home the silver. Thank you. That's on behalf of the town of New Milford. And lastly, to Stephen's segment of what happens next. Well, what's great is we have these building blocks, and now we're going to use the building blocks. Whether it be the long-term recovery that Dr. Levin helped build us, whether we have the POCD, Kathy Sutherland, whether we have, right now, Sustainable Connecticut that we just have, and then we have a riverfront revitalization, as well as all of the other things that we have, including Pettibone, including East Street. Now we're going to be talking about all these things and how they're all going to formulate and to continue to make this town the best town in the USA, because that's what we're going to do here and continue to do here. So I'm going to call out names, and if you're here, we'd love to give it to you. If not, we'll make sure we get it for you. So this album here. Good. Helen? Make sure. Helen? Yes. Helen? No. She here? No. Okay. How about Miss Bailey?
Yeah.
Mr. Baker. Mr. Bird. Mr. Devlin. Mr. Devlin here. Make sure he gets it. How about Angela? Mr. Mitch, she here today. Okay. How about Diane Elizabeth? Is Sean here? Yeah. There she is, okay. Thank you for helping us as we looked at creating that new number that you call in the town hall with the different, right now the Spanish language, and then helping us as we migrated over with the notified New Milford with all the language we have. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. It's not over till it's over.
Amen to that. Chris Fisher. Chris here. Okay. Sunday Fisher. Mayor Furman. Mayor.
Thank you.
Stephen. Mr. Gass. Thank you.
You nearly killed us.
Kathy. Kathy. I don't see Adam here. We'll make sure Adam gets his. Mr. Hannah. See here.
HVA, no.
Okay. And we'll get this to Jennifer Heaton-Jones from HRRA. We'll make sure she gets that. Mr. Hita, is Gary here?
No, he's in Texas.
Okay, nice.
Or somewhere out there.
Mr. Hine, is Mr. Hine here? Make sure the tag gets his. Linda Hubbard? Linda? Okay. Mike Jandzinski? Mike?
No, HVA, no.
Okay. Bob Lambert, is Bob here? Make sure Bob gets his. Chris Ludwig, Chris, I saw Chris.
Mr. Affordable Housing.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you. Lou Mandler, Lou? Okay. Linda McMillan? Okay. I'm gonna mispronounce this. Right? Anna?
Yeah.
Anna. Anna. How do I pronounce your last name? Adele Morris? Adele? Wendy Murphy? Kathleen Nelson? Make sure Kathleen gets hers. Linda Pooter? Make sure Ms. Pooter gets hers. Ethan Rand? Okay. And Hillary, here's yours too. Jason, I'll make sure Jason at Village Center of the Arts gets his. Howard Russick? Steve Sato. Steve? Kathy? Michelle Shackelford. Michelle? And Lucy Wilder. Lucy? Okay, I'll have to find her too. Well, thank you, everybody. I'd like to, one more thing, as I'm doing it, just to shout out to the team members in the different sections. So for the affordable housing team, you had Michelle, who chaired it. Then you had Joe Baker, Ted Hine, and Chris Ludwig. For the natural resource and wildlife inventory was Miss Applebaum, Angela, Kathy Hagedorn, Wendy Murphy, Kathleen Nelson, Ethan Ram, Hillary Ram, Howard Russick, and Kathy Sutherland. Sustainable purchasing was Valerie Douglas, who works for the town. Our purchasing agent does a phenomenal job. Watershed protection, Great Brook Watershed Management Plan, and Holton Meadow Park Rubbish and Invasives Cleanup was Gary Hita. He was a project liaison. Mike Strasamski, Eric Hazelton, and Jim Furlow. Jim also works with the town of New Milford as our inland wetlands director, and he's our emergency operations director. Submissions and mention management was Pat Hembrook from our office, and Linda Hollins. And those two ladies, without them, I can tell you right now. Exactly. Public Works, Native Meadows, Patriots Way, Brownsfield, Municipal Energy, Usage Tracking and Improvements, Jack Healy. Phenomenal job there. And for our town employees, Linda put these certificates aside, so they'll be getting those as well. So Jack will be getting yours too, you know. Emergency food system inventory. Okay, I'm going to mispronounce it again. Anda Marovitz, thank you. Open space inventory, Mike Bird and Adam Halassi-Kuhn. And I'd like to thank Adam for all his many, many years. You too, Mike, for all your many, many years of helping us in conservation. Unbelievable. Thank you. Same with Steve. Same with Steve. Sustainable Workforce Development, Steve, and thank you as well. And New Vance Healthcare background was Terry Nacken. So again, thank you, everybody. This is just the beginning of, we've done the assessment, got the major awards, but now we got our work cut out for us. So I'll be updating the council more as we continue to move forward. So thank you, everybody. tremendous work. Thank you. Katie?
Okay, move on to item number 7. Mayor, you have comments you'd like before you begin the items?
So just real quick and be very brief, in speaking with Lisa today, just giving us our numbers, COVID numbers, as they are today, and these are in totality. These are how many people since a year ago March. So these are our numbers. State of Connecticut is at 368,190. Litchfield County is at 15,242, which is up 66 from Friday. Hospitalizations for the entire county of Litchfield is at 4, which is up 1 Friday. New Milford is at 2,771, which is up 10 from Friday. We continue to offer our vaccines at our clinic at Pettibone from 4 to 5:30 on Wednesdays. We have all 3 vaccines. We also are doing boosters and 3rd doses, and now we just started doing our youth ages 5 to 11. I know the first 2 weeks have been, for the youth, have been totally, the registrations are totally full. So please go to www.milford.org, go to the top red banner, and click on if you'd like to register yourself or one of your youth, and right there will be where you can schedule. As far as our vaccine statistics, as of November 4th, and this is with a 7 to 10 day look back, first doses are at 20,006, which is 74.64% of those that are available to get vaccinated have done so. Fully vaccinated is at 18,676, which is 69.67%. I'd also like to thank everyone that voted in this year's municipal election. I myself, and I can't speak for all of our other council people and all the other boards and commissions. I was truly humbled and honored by all the support, so I want to thank each and every one of you, and thank you for everybody that put their name in to volunteer in this election. So it's with true community spirit that we will continue to work together to move New Milford forward. That's what makes us such a great town. We work together for the benefit of New Milford. Roads, we continue on our road program, and again, Jack, thank you and your team as we continue. We're almost done with this year, our 4th year. So far completed streets are West Street, Dorset, North Valley, Burnham, Vista, White Swan, Woodridge, Sawyer Hill, Fox Ridge, Station, Long Mountain, Riverview, Browns Forge, River, Gregory, New Preston, Jotham. Also, work still in progress, Charterhouse, Cobbler, Brentwood, and Newbridge. And we're working on getting those finished up and buttoned up for the end of our season. And then Jack and his team will be working on, he's already got it set up, our next spring roads already and how those are going to work. As far as bridges, and Jack, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mud Pond, the tentative completion date is the 2nd week in December. The Gaylord's Bridge we're looking to do in the spring. Tamarack, if we can get the pipe, they're going to start this winter. And then Chenersky Bridge is out to bid currently right now, and you're working with the Scenic Road Committee concerning Chenersky Bridge. New Milford High School roof, that project is underway. Very exciting. So currently they're putting on the ice and water sheathing on a portion of the roof, and they're actually putting on some of the panels, if you go down there and look already, on the northern part of the roof. So you take a look. So this is going to be a standing seam roof, 50-year lifespan. So very excited about that project as it's underway. Also our town hall roof. Jack, I believe the materials now have come into the area. So now we'll begin to start then in a few weeks, I think, Jack? Is that what's going to be? And so that itself will be a standing seam roof, 50-year lifespan, kind of what it was back in the 40s from what I understand, some pictures that I saw, which would be pretty amazing. Library construction, contractor continues with the interior wall compounding and taping, interior painting of the Goodman portion of the library, the voice and data cabling, they're continuing with that. In the Connecticut room and the children's cabinetry is being done too. Elevator shaft, the sheetrock is being done within the shaft work and elevator installation. They're also doing some of the curbing and sidewalk on the northern part of the door is completed. Also like to congratulate the New Milford High School girls cross-country team who took home first place in the state open. Outstanding. Great job. Also want to thank congratulate the New Milford Bulls cheer at the New England Pop Warner Cheer Championships. The Pee Wee Medium Level 1 placed first, and they're going to be on their way to the Pop Warner National Championships.
That's amazing.
That's going to be amazing. Go Bulls. Excellent job.
I want to see Mickey Mouse.
Congratulations. Again, it's kind of repetitive, right, Doug?
Yes.
New Milford High School Marching Band and Color Guard. Band director David Sizdek. I'd like to thank the band parents because they do tons of work.
Yeah.
And the volunteers as they won again 4A state champions. So I think that's 4 years going. That's pretty amazing.
Hard-working people.
Oof. Also like to thank the Women's Club and the United Way this past weekend, as you guys did Operation Thanksgiving, and that's to help those in need to have a Thanksgiving
Just
meal.
a little plug, we could still use donations.
And Katie, how would they go about doing that?
Well, there's several ways, Mayor.
Since you asked.
Since you asked, yes. You could call me at the United Way if you have a lot of canned goods or turkey or just a few things you'd like to drop off. Maureen at Nutmeg Olive Oil has been kind enough to take in donations if you're downtown and you just want an easy way to stop in on Main Street. She's not open on Monday, but Tuesday, Saturday. If you check her hours, you could stop in and she will take it from you. And if you have a large amount or a large turkey, you can just contact me and I'll be happy to come and pick up the large quantities. And what's easiest, actually, Mayor, is just a simple little piece of paper, your check, and then we do the shopping.
Okay.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank the Kiwanis Club. For those, if you go to the northern part of the green across the street where Historical Society is, you see those wonderful flags as they do, again, the flags of valor.
Beautiful.
So thank you to the Kiwanis Club and all the volunteers. A lot of the key club members,
Put those.
youngsters, were putting those up
Yeah.
on Saturday. So that's always amazing. So thank you to them. Also, the car show, Don Clady and Connecticut Cruise News did that at Pettibones. That was
Great
nice.
cars.
I took my daughter Fotini, and we were looking at some of the older cars, and she was laughing as I was telling her, when I was young, I had a car like that, cost about $700, and now it's about $50,000, those cars. And also would like to say congratulations to Hazel Case, as a thank you to Melissa Marcy and their whole team over Kennewood Valley. They allowed me to go over there and help celebrate Hazel's 100th birthday. Pretty amazing. 100th birthday. God bless. And also happy birthday to State Representative Buckby. So Bill, if you're watching, happy birthday. And to Miss Buckby. But I'm not going to say how old she's going to get in big trouble. Big trouble. And again, thank you to Pat Hembrook and all the volunteers for the Halloween that we had here on the green, the Halloween parade, and then we did the trunk or treat. We had the monster zoo, petting zoo, and then we had the wonderful Thriller dance again, which was great. Thank you to all the participants that did that. So, thanks, Katie.
Oh, thank you. Item 7A would be an update on and a discussion about the New Milford cannabis regulations.
So I just want to give a quick update, and Randy, you can fill in for us.
The zoning commission has determined that they're going to essentially fold in the regulation for recreational marijuana with the medical. So it's going to be obviously commercial use in an appropriate zone. But they're not going to prohibit it, and they're not going to do a moratorium. That would be up to the town to do by way of a town meeting, should the town desire to do that. So that's going to be a town determination. Contrary to popular belief out in the hustings and other towns, the town doesn't get any benefit, real benefit, from having or not having cannabis sold here. What we do get to do is have a 3% sales tax. However, it's not been determined how that's going to be collected. My concern, and it's a concern, I don't have any evidence other than history, once it goes to the Commission of Revenue Services, I don't know that we're going to get it back, because I would assume it's going to be collected by way of a sales tax surcharge. Now, former Mayor Boughton's the Commission of Revenue Services, and I've got a call into him, and I know him very well. have not gotten a return call on that issue. So I think they don't have the regulations in place yet, is what's going on. And the reason they don't is because sales don't occur, lawful sales don't occur until July 1st of 2022. So I do anticipate there will be an infrastructure regarding that. I don't have that information yet, and even the Connecticut Association of Municipal Attorneys, which I belong to, we're really speculating at this point. But the fact is that in order to opt out or to not have cannabis sold recreationally in this town, there has to be a town meeting to determine that. Other than that, the legislation would stand as it's drafted. So we're allowed one sales place. They call it a dispensary, but it's not medical, so that's kind of deceiving. But we're allowed one sales place in town. It would have to be in a commercial zone or retail zone, and it would be there would be subject to distance requirements, such as from a school or things of that nature. So that's what I can tell you up to the minute.
Thank you.
Any questions from the council to Randy so far?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Next, Kate.
Item 7B would be discussion of our American Rescue Plan Fund.
Okay.
And you have 4 items you would like to.
Yes, ma'am. I can hand these out if I could.
Pass along.
Okay. And which one are we starting off with first, Katie?
We would start with the New Milford Police Department.
Okay. And so these,
Well, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Is it one? Oh.
How much with the town meeting that we just had, how much is left in the American Rescue Fund?
a little
as we
bit
speak?
over, about 4.75 million.
Thank you. Sorry,
Absolutely.
a little late on that, wasn't I?
And these are requests, as we talked about at the last meeting, from Public Safety. I spoke with the chief, and then we have our fire chiefs here as well. So we'll start first with Chief Ceruto, and as you could see an email from the chief concerning what he was looking for, and that would be a police scheduling software, which is under allowable expenditures for IT equipment to support the local emergency operation command and response. And as he shows you, some of the things that we talk about planning, currently right now, their payroll system includes hard copies and clipboards. So as we want to bring New Milford into the 21st century, obviously we want to make sure that they have scheduling software that meets the demand of the department. So as you can see, the chief had put in the scheduling and payroll software. My recommendation would be for the 3-year, not the 5-year.
Yeah.
And that would be at $30,375. And he has background concerning the uses for it, why they wanted to go with this particular software packaging, and how that works. And this could be something for you to look at and consider as we bring this back as we had before, but this was one of the requests that was given to us by Chief Ceruto. Does anybody have any
Would this and
questions
the
so
other
far?
3 items, the paperwork backing it up, would this be available to anyone?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So this will be in the minutes as well, as we've done with the other ones as well. The next is we have Chief Harris. Is Chief Harris here?
Yes, he is.
So Chief Harris is here. As you can see from Northfield Fire Department, their request. So I'd asked them, so they have the secondary sets of turnout gear for interior firefighters, which is very important. And they have the portable radios, 18, for interior firefighters. Then they have the 7 mobile radios for their officers. Replacement of fire nozzles, a fire gear dryer, and the mobile fire gear storage racking. As you can see, that all comes up to $104,714. Does anybody have any questions for Chief Harris? Okay. Next is Water Witch. So then we have Chief Squires. There's Chief Squires. And as you can see, some of the things that they have asked for, and that they've provided us with some quotes, is the, see, the first one is the Max Force And Chief, the max force G2 is?
It's a 1-ton paratech.
Yeah, that is the airbag system.
Yep.
Our current airbags are well over 25 years old.
Oh.
And it will be an item that we will be budgeting for next year.
That's a 7,472. And then we have the I'm going to call it the Zodiac boat, Chief, and maybe that's wrong verbiage for it, but.
Yeah,
What it is.
And this would definitely be something that, as we all have seen the unfortunate experiences with people going into the Housatonic River, this would be a tremendous asset for the fire department. And this one is at
21,435.
Well, then you bring the configuration and everything, which would be the second one.
Yep.
So this one total would be
42.
42,719.
Yep.
There's a quote from that. The next is the, from Dive Rescue. That would be the, I'm assuming this one, Chief, is the drone, underwater drone?
And sonar.
And sonar?
Yep.
Right now, we don't have sonar in the town. We rely on either the police department coming in or Newtown search and rescue, underwater search and rescue, which could be anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. Right? Some of the other, the regional dive team, they have one of the drones now, but again, their response would be an hour to an hour and a half away.
The next one is the
Arizona Vortex.
the Arizona Vortex
Tripod.
Tripod.
Underground rescues through manholes and things.
Yep.
I'm up on this, Mayor.
I know. Yeah. I appreciate that. So that one's 5274. And then the
laundry experts.
Yep. The dryer, right?
Yep.
Right, Chief?
Yeah, washing dryer.
Great.
Again, we've applied for FEMA grants the last 3 years and have not received any.
Really?
Again, our watch, yeah, this time I guess it was just some administrative stuff up front. Again, our washer and dryer units are probably 25 to 30 years old. So again, if it's going to be an item that will be budgeted for, we're required to wash our gear after every incident.
As you can see, not only are these things super important, obviously, to our firemen, but this is also a way, again, to use these funds in a very efficient manner, but also we don't have to go to the taxpayers for this money. And it helps our fire department, especially our first responders. So it's like a triple win.
That's right. And we would like you to be clean. At all times. Okay.
And
Then?
the next one is, and this one is a training area. This is, Chief, could you talk a little bit about this one?
The proposal for the burn building is currently we have a facility down in Kimberly Clark's property. It's been there well over 40 or 50 years old. It's a concrete and wood built three-story tower. Over the years, there's been upkeep to it and whatever. We've kind of outgrown its needs, the size of it and stuff, and what we can do there. We can't do any live burns in there. The last time there was a live burn in there, being a wood structure, some of it actually was burning. Just to give you an idea of what this would save, this past Sunday, there's about 25 or 30 members of Waterwitch. We took 3 pieces of apparatus out of town, took a ride an hour north up to Burrville, just outside of Torrington, so we could do the live burn. The live burns are required by NFPA to keep our interior firefighters certified. We have done some stuff in town with some abandoned buildings with artificial smoke, but it doesn't give you the true burn of real smoke and the heat. To give you an idea, the burn rooms were about 900 degrees. The rooms that were surrounding them, we had up to 750 degrees. So that's the conditions that we're working in. Again, like I said, we left about 7 o'clock in the morning. We took 3 pieces of apparatus out of town, not to tax Northville and Galersville for the day. We also brought Brookfield in, and they covered the town with their apparatus and stuff. By the time we came back, it was 2, 3 o'clock. By the time we got everything cleaned up, back in service. Looking at this training facility would be for all 3 departments. It's very similar to what Washington put in. Their metal containers. We can have different configurations to do different scenarios. We've also, in our monthly meetings with the mayor, the police chief, and the other fire chiefs, one thing that was discussed is to allow the PD to train. They could use these training facilities also for, SWAT training or active shooter training and that kind of thing. And also kind of have a centralized training area for the 3 departments, the ambulance if needed, and the police department. I know they are talking about doing some type of indoor range that could be added onto this training facility area. So that's...
Okay.
So, a couple questions. Rich, you're required to do the live burn,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. And where would this be? Where would you put this?
Talking to the mayor, possibly on the new facilities where Public Works will be going. Probably need about 1 acre to maybe 2 acres of the space.
Right.
We would need a concrete, pad to put these on. And then
That's a
further
good
down the
spot.
road, we would look at, doing some kind of small training facility there.
Good spot for it. Great.
Any questions for Chief Squires?
Town fire companies?
We would probably come up with some kind of guidelines. Like I said, right now, we have the training tower that's on Kimberly Clark's property. There's a area fire chiefs association that is made up of us, Brookfield, Washington, Northville, Galersville, Bridgewater. Trying to think who else.
Good enough.
Brookfield, yeah. So there's 7 or 8 towns, and there hasn't really been a loss of interest. But again, it's funding, we're trying to, there's an annual fee that we pay. I don't know the exact cost of that fee to try and maintain the building and stuff. But again, the building's kind of outdated and,
Right.
Not safe, to do these live burns in. And like I said, we have to, these are requirements with a list of other things, as far as
Sure.
physicals,
Yeah.
fit
No, I was
testing.
just wondering if other out of town.
We would probably come up with some kind of guidelines. I know, unfortunately, Washington, when they presented it, it is just for their town. That was something, I guess, with their selectmen up there. They did not want to open up to other towns. But again, we could probably, look into it because again, the surrounding towns like Bridgewater, Roxbury, they don't have, they don't have the funds for that. And we work very closely with them. As like I said, Brookfield was up here on Sunday to cover us, and they were actually here on Saturday too because we had a funeral and stuff. So they, were up here 2 days covering, helping us out. So we all work very well together.
I know, that's why I was asking. That's why I was asking.
Any other?
Any question for Chief? Walter?
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor. I always said I would be hard pressed not to vote for anything that the fire department needed. I can't imagine if we had to pay a full-time fire department. So I'm with these guys.
Appreciate
You
it.
want it, I vote yes.
Appreciate it.
That's why he's here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions for Chief Squires? Thank
Thanks.
you, Chief.
Thanks for everything.
What's that?
Right.
And by the way, it is my wife's birthday, so I'm sitting here.
Oh,
So dedication is there.
boy. Yeah.
Next is Chief Bergen. Chief for Galersville. So requests are for 23 global radios. And for those on the council that, because of the expense, what's the difference between maybe a regular fire radio versus the global radio that you need because you're up in Galersville?
Probably talking difference of probably $4,000. And the reason we're asking for these global radios is, for one, geographically, we're right on the New York border. So we're going over to New York. Also, if you were to notice or some of our fire events in the town of New Milford, is we're calling for mutual aid from other parts of the state and other regions. So we need to have the capability to be able to talk to, it's the present and it is the future of being able to communicate with everybody on the fire ground.
You don't have that reach.
We don't have
currently at
that
all.
present.
And as Northville had requested, Gaylord was also requesting 10 sets of turnout gear, correct, Chief?
Yep.
Was there anything else, Chief?
You have the list that I sent to you is we're looking for Lucas device at a cost of $14,000. And what is a Lucas device, you're asking yourself? It's essentially a mechanical CPR device. We have the Milford ambulance. They're based out of the center of town. We have a 10-minute response time. If anyone has, I don't want to say pleasure, or had the opportunity to perform CPR on a person, it's not the thing that you look forward to. It's taxing. So having this device available to us would be a tremendous benefit.
One of the things for the council that may or may not be aware of, those that are watching tonight, is that Gaylordsville has really kind of partnered with the ambulance, especially up there. They respond to those type of medical calls. So thank you for that, and that way the public can kind of know your request for American Relief funding for that.
Would you say it was about $14,000?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Looking to also replace 3 of our automated external defibrillators. A defibrillator, if your heart's not acting right, you get a little electrical shock to make it perform like it's supposed to. Hopefully, that's the plan and dream. We do have defibrillators presently, but they've met the life expectancy, and we just can't update them anymore. So we're looking to replace those. Additionally, even COVID's been a bad thing. I think we all can agree it's not, but it's also opened up opportunity for people using the trails and doing hiking and fishing and all that more. So along that lines, we're looking to put in for a vacuum splint device, kind of like a beaded mat that will conform to your whole body or a limb. But for backboards, it'll assist with maintaining your cervical spine. Straps with that, a Stokes basket we're looking for that. Trails would came in handy if anyone heard about the Amazon truck zipping down Route 55 at 75 miles per hour. Didn't quite make the corner. Stokes basket is an asset for calls like that. We're also looking at replacing our thermal imaging cameras. We have 2 thermal imaging cameras. They've met their life expectancy. The batteries are not keeping up anymore, and we need to replace those.
Any questions? Walter?
Again, any of this equipment can save just one life.
That's right.
Well worth it.
Absolutely.
You got it.
Well worth it.
Okay. Great.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Chiefs, thank you. And then
Then we go-
lastly, we have Sullivan Farm.
Veteran.
Oh, yep, veterans. I was talking with Jim Delancey, our commander, and he was talking about the need for roof replacement at the VFW. And the VFW also, in speaking with the commander, would be a great location for veterans affairs, where we could be a regional hub for our veterans. The roof replacement, which I'll have at the next meeting that we'll have, is about $35,000. That's for them to repair it. So I'll have that quote at the next town council meeting. That's something that should be on our radar, is in that facility could be a true veterans affair place, not only for our New Milford residents, but for the region as well.
Right, right. And we do want to have
And that's
someplace
a
for
big
veterans.
proponent for use of American Relief Funds.
That's great, yes. And then Sullivan Farms.
And lastly, I wanted to give this for the edification of the council, which will be on the next council agenda as well, is Sullivan Farms, as you both know, this is a town-owned piece of property, which was deeded to us for agriculture and agritourism, as Mark Macon's trying to build there as well. The roof needs to be replaced, and he gave us a quote. So that quote for the roof to be totally replaced on the big barn is $63,110. Dave?
Should we accept this, which, yeah, in all likelihood, could this go out to bid?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just not comfortable with one quote.
The only reason why I asked him for this was so I could give you a
ballpark figure.
Yeah,
Okay,
kind of
that's
a
fine, that's
numerator.
fine.
It would, all this would have to go out to bid, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did anybody have any questions? Okay, so it gives everybody a chance to think about it. The next town council meeting, these will all be on the agenda. And if you have any questions,
And these are
please
all
feel free.
available, they'll be part of
Yep.
our minutes, so
They'll be
people
part of the
can look at
minutes.
them.
And,
And
Tony?
these, for the question for Randy, these all fit under the guidelines of the American Region Fund?
They'll fit under one of either the guidelines, the category, or what we call the 4.1 rule.
Okay.
We believe we can do it, and we'll do this in collaboration and consultation with our auditor.
And there's no doubt they're all needed and for a good cause, but just to make sure that they all.
As far
fit.
as all the fire companies,
Right.
now I'm biased
Sure.
with fire companies, but putting that aside, there's no question that the fire company and an ambulance
Right.
approvals will be sustained.
And I'm clear about it, but I want to make sure the public's clear about it.
Yeah, this is
Because
something,
a lot of
we've
people.
studied a lot.
Yes,
And,
the 60 pages of that
and
document are
there's-
available for the
Yeah,
public.
I got it if you want to read
review.
it.
Right.
And I think that's important for the people to know that it is available for them to read through it.
It is.
In case they don't
It's
have any
very
clarity.
interesting.
The Code of Federal Regulations has been, if you will, has been diluted such that it's readable in the guidelines which are in the town hall.
And Doug, also for the public as well, as we talked here as the council. So we've gone really above and beyond what has been needed. So we've got town council approval of appropriations. We then go to the Board of Finance to get their recommendation. Then we went to a town meeting, so thank you to everyone that was here tonight, to do our first tranche of those. So those are already approved. And then what we do at the very end is then we have our bond counsel, who is our money guy. Our money guy, and we're gonna give him those, and he is going to opine if it's worthy to be in American Relief again. So we have all of these to make quadruple sure
Right.
that these funds are appropriate use, because we don't wanna be like some of these other towns in the state that had some issues with their funding. We're
Right.
gonna make sure we're not one of those towns.
Oh, my.
So we're gonna go through all of this again, as we continue to go through all these tranches.
So we can't give the town council people a bonus?
Yeah.
You know, 50 grand?
You know what kind of bonus you get after that?
Room and board after that.
Private room.
That was by design, by
Right.
us, not by mandate.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So we could have the other checks. And for those in the audience, these ones will be on the next town council meeting for discussion and possible action. Katie?
That's the end of it.
Walter?
Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.